Yeah, it's one heart, one shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. In the love with the...
All right, we are live. What's up, y'all? How you guys doing? Hope you're having an absolutely amazing evening. For those of y'all that are new to pre-PT grind, you're in the right place. If you're a pre-PT, if you're interested in the field of physical therapy, or you're just trying to figure out how to navigate through this whole thing, whether you're getting ready to apply for the first time, the second time, the third time, maybe you're applying in several years and you're just trying to get a leg up on the profession of PT, you're in the right place. And pre-PT grind is designed to help you get into physical therapy school without having to waste a lot of time and money. So if that's something that you're interested in, then just stick around. And so another thing is, my name is Joseph, like I said, and I am a physical therapist, PT school acceptance coach, and you're tuning in for what has become my favorite series, period. This is the Pre-PT Inspire series. And what this is literally every single week and every single Tuesday night, you can block it off in your schedule, because we've been doing this every single Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. But we bring on a student from the Accepted System Coaching Program, which is our program that helps students get into PT school. And these are students that have actually gotten accepted, who are coming on here to share their stories. And what makes it so unique is the fact that they're sharing everything. Like, they're sharing the good stuff and the tough stuff, right? Because I think a lot of times when, before we get accepted, we always hear the 4.0 GPA, 3.5 GPA, did amazing on the GRE, all those different things. But many of us feel so alone because we don't feel like we relate with everyone else. We feel like we're the only ones going through our struggles. We feel like we're the only ones like panicking through the process, second guessing ourselves, doubting ourselves. And so what we decided is, we were like, yo, let's bring real stories so you can hear what each of these students went through, so that at the end of each of these interviews, you can say to yourself, wait a minute, if Jasmine could go through that, if all these other students can go through that, then maybe I actually have a shot. Maybe I can actually become a physical therapist. And so that's why we call it the Pre-PT Inspire series. So this is going to be fun. This is all storytelling. So I hope you're ready for that. For those of y'all that are live, let us know below. But I hope you guys are ready to learn. And if this inspires you, feel free to share this with a friend, another pre-PT that would value this. And let's go. Jasmine, how you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm in a good mood.
Feeling good. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, let's get started. So what we're going to start with is, let's start with your decision to pursue physical therapy. Like, prior to us getting to what your obstacles and struggles were as a pre-PT, tell us a little bit about why physical therapy in the first place. What drew you to PT? Why PT? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, I knew I always wanted to be kind of in like a medical field. And I got my CNA in high school, and it just wasn't for me. And so, and I kind of thought, I was like, well, what can I do? I don't want to go to med school. I don't want to be a doctor, so I was just like, I don't want to do that. And I didn't want to be a nurse. I was like, what can I do? So I was kind of up against a wall a little bit. And then I ended up, through athletics, getting injured. And so then I got my first contact with PT. And I remember throughout the injury process, I definitely felt like my PT was the rock, like the person that I could go to and vent about personal things. Because for me personally, because I was a captain on the team, I didn't feel like I could vent to other people because I was supposed to be the leader, And so I felt like I saw that a PT was so much more than just someone giving me exercises. It was like a support system. And so I really liked that. And then I also, just for me personally, I felt like the more I grew up, the more I realized that PT is a career that can grow with me. And what I mean by that is, I started out thinking, I want to be around sports all the time. I'm sports. But as I graduated in that part of my life, that chapter closed, I realized maybe that's not what I want to focus on. And so through observation hours, I got to do women's health. I just heard back from a canine PT to just, speak to them. And I'm realizing there's no limit, whatever my interest is, I can find some way to apply PT and help someone in whatever setting. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So you and I have to talk a little bit about that canine PT later. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear about that. But
Yeah.
but I absolutely love it. So you fell in love with PT. Realized that PTs were a lot more than just what they did, right? In terms of like healing you and helping you recover, they were all these other things, right? Because they were almost like a counselor, therapist from
Yeah.
another,
Yeah.
standpoint. And so yeah, basically they're like the ability to kind of like navigate or help you kind of talk through some of the other things in your life, and that happens all the time in clinics. Like patients come through and they're like, yeah, all right, let's talk, right? And they don't know of, anyone else to confide in. And so that's like, I'm glad you saw that side of PT. So tell us what were your obstacles now? Because this is the part that most students want to hear about.
Yeah.
And I know you got several to talk about.
Yeah.
Share whatever you want to say, but this is the part of the interview that I enjoy the most, and I think really impacts students the most as well, because this is the part where students start to realize, wait a minute, like something is different. Like we've been told by advisors and everyone else that you basically have to be this textbook pre-PT, that your process has to go through these like nice little neatly aligned steps, and if you don't do that, then maybe you won't be a strong applicant. Maybe you won't get into PT school. Maybe you should pick something else. And so I want you to tell us what your struggles were, because you're only on this interview because you got accepted into PT school. So whatever you're about to talk about still led to you getting accepted. So for those of y'all listening, I hope y'all listening on this part. So tell us, what were your biggest struggles and obstacles?
My biggest struggles, first and foremost, my confidence. That was probably the biggest thing I needed to really overcome and just get away from that negative self-talk. And reflecting now, I realize that because of my lack of confidence, now that I can look back, I take responsibility for things that I did to set myself up for failure. Do you know what not really trying in a class, or a major thing for me was not researching the field enough, because I felt like if I didn't do that, I'd always have a reason to be like, oh, I don't know if it's for me. I don't know, So for me, it was just setting these roadblocks up that I wasn't doing it like consciously, but as I reflect back, I'm like, I just wanted to keep a barrier, whatever it was. I didn't want to put in 100% effort. I wanted to put in like 50% so that I could always find a reason why I shouldn't go for it. Second, once I finally figured that out, because I went for the habits of the acceptance system, and that really, really helped with my confidence. But from there, where do I even begin? So, well, first I completed my internship in Chile. So I was abroad and I was supposed to be there for 3 months, but I ended up staying for 2 years. I met my husband now, but at the time he was my fiance, and we were planning to be married. But that was when COVID hit, everything was shutting down, clinics were shutting down. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get back. And so we had to have a really tough conversation, and he just kind of supported me and said, hey, you got to get over there because you can get your hours there. You can actually be there if you have to be in person, like you just got to go. So I decided to go, and it was very scary because borders were closed. If I leave, I can't get back in at that time. So we had to postpone our wedding. I had all of that kind of emotional stuff going on, but it also, in a sense, fueled me to think like, oh, I have to get in now, because I didn't just leave my fiance to say I didn't get accepted. So I was like, I have to get in now. So when I got back, I had a lot of different obstacles. One, just getting back, having to do the quarantine. I had to find a job. What else? I had to find a job. Was able to find a job, but I was working 90 hours a week. On top of that, again, due to my poor research, I didn't realize that my kinesiology credits were only 3 hours, and I needed 4 hours of anatomy for each class. So I had to retake those. However, a lot of schools don't require those to be online, and everything was online during COVID. So I couldn't find a place that would take it online, or they were closed, or it didn't fit with my schedule. And it was just a lot of different roadblocks that way. And then a storm went through and blew a tree down on my house. So we were without, it was a bad storm. We were without even cell phone signal for a couple of days. We were without power, everything. So I ended up, and this was right around when I was trying to finish up my PT class. So I had to go to this. At one point I was in like a McDonald's parking lot, like taking their Wi-Fi, just whatever I could to get it done. And from there, man, what else did I have to, I just remember it was a lot. A lot of the immigration things with my fiance being, or my husband being international, it was just a lot of roadblocks, always being worried, like when I'm going to see him again. All the way up until I got tons of rejections. I think I applied to 6 or 7 schools. I got right off the bat, and I was so confident with my application. So hearing things, even though I knew they were true, I felt like I really did the best I could. So hearing things like, I don't even know how I could have taken it, because a lot of times it wasn't just like, hey, you're wrong, you did this, this, this. It was like, wow, you had a great application, but that C though. And so for me, I was like, you couldn't just, you couldn't just. So I was just very kind of defeated. And then again, I felt like I owed it to the people that, I left, my family's here trying to support me. So I felt like I owed it to a lot of people. And I kept getting rejection after rejection. For a while, like it did knock me off my feet a little bit. I kind of was just like, let me reconsider. Is this what I want to do? Do I want to put the work in? Because they're all telling me I got to retake chemistry. Like, is PT worth that? Is that what I want to put in? So I really had to have a real conversation with myself and just like, if I take it again, are you going to do it? Or are you going to go through it and get another C and waste your time? So that was like something I had to look at. And I think lastly, the last kind of struggle was I went to go visit my fiance over Christmas break. The borders had opened, and I contacted the last school I was waiting for. And I said, hey, are you going to contact me via email? How's this going to go? And they said, okay, you're fine. It'll be email. So I go. They called. I have an international SIM card in right now, so I didn't get it. And so I'm thinking at this point, because I'm seeing online when their approximate interview dates are, so I'm like, oh, I didn't get it, whatever. And I remember I wasn't gonna respond to them. I just defeated myself. I was like, there's no point, or not even respond. I wasn't gonna reach out to them or say anything else. I was just like, I didn't get in. But I don't know what it was. One day I just sat down on my computer and I was like, I'm gonna just let them know that I took anatomy and I'm done, just to start some dialogue there. So I let them know, like, hey, I took this class. I've just uploaded to PTCast, and they responded, to my surprise, we've been trying to reach you for the last month. We assumed you just weren't interested. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, oh, so like, again, I had another like breakdown. I had to call my grandparents, because I was like, they're gonna think I don't want to go. Like, I'm gonna walk in, they're gonna be like, this girl, she didn't even answer our emails. So I was like, what am I gonna do? And so they told me, they're like, call and explain what happened, be calm, like be confident. And so I ended up calling, and they were very, very happy. They scheduled an interview for me like the next week. I think it was very soon. The next week. And at that point, and this is where I think my confidence and my mentality shift, and everything that I worked on with like habits of the accepted. I think before I would have looked at a situation like this and been like, all right, like I'm the underdog, I'm in the last email. Like, I think they just gave me a pity invite. Like, those are where my thoughts would always go before. But after this, I was like, you know what, despite all of this, despite a month going by, despite like a tree falling on my house, despite this, like, I have this opportunity. So again, like, it's now or never. Like, whether I get in or not, I don't want to walk out and think I should have said this or I should have done this. So that's
wow. You, first of all, how many of y'all were literally listening to that right now saying, whoa, like say like do a little hand emoji or identify yourself in the comments. Listen, y'all, like yeah, like you had one heck of a journey, my friend. And I was taking notes so I didn't miss any of it. So you talked about, obviously like Chile, meeting your fiance, retaking classes, the tree, pandemic, just kind of figuring out like internationally, like how do we actually deal with that? Is PT worth it enough, right? Like retaking classes, a lot of the things that you did, but at the heart of this, and this is actually why I was super excited for this interview in particular, is because you and I actually like spoke quite a bit earlier this year, right? And we'll dive into the accepted system part here in just a moment, but I just remember our conversations, and you, like, while going through all of that, you basically had come to a point where you were like, I'm paraphrasing here, but you were basically like, Joseph, like I brought it, like I did, I did everything I could possibly control, and I'm at peace with that. Like there was this, like, and I rarely see it. I rarely see it because I've rarely had it in myself. Like like that level of confidence was something I admired in that moment, because I was like, I don't even know if I always have that level of confidence, like in the
Yeah.
midst of like everything feeling like it's falling apart. And I remember you just basically, like, we were recounting everything that you just said right now, but in more detail. And you basically were like, yo, like I controlled everything in my power. Like I literally left it all out there. And I remember telling you, because you were asking for my advice. I was like, you did it. You were one of the few people that I was like, you did everything right. Like, do you remember that? I was like, you did
Yeah.
everything right. Like there's literally like right now, like the only thing to do is literally to let things fall as they should. And I think it was like a few days later you had the interview, and then we'll get to the part where you got accepted, later on in this interview. But there was a part of that base, like that was super powerful to me, and I think even more so powerful to the students here. A lot of y'all, like, as you're listening to this, like, yes, like she had what felt like a pretty crazy year, right? and I'm sure it was crazier to experience than for those of us that are hearing it. But at the end of the day, you spent so much time figuring out what can I control, and you were at peace with the fact that you did that.
Mhm.
And I don't think many people actually do that. I think a lot of us try to like navigate through what we want to change, through what we want to deal with. Oh, I don't really want to retake that class again. Oh, I don't really want to do that. Oh, can I get away with applying without it? Oh my goodness, the GRE. Can I get away? Like, I want y'all to actually start shifting your mindset, because real confidence comes from knowing that you've put all the cards on the table and you've played them to the best of your ability.
Yep. I
That's
just
where
want
real
to throw
confidence comes from. Go on.
I just want to throw
Bro, you
one
getting
more
me
thing out there,
hyped.
because
Uh-huh.
yes, I was very, very confident after my interview, and that definitely was really a real part of my experience. But I kind of want to share my past. This is after 3 years of talking myself out of things. I didn't even look into schools. When I graduated, I essentially decided to go abroad, because I was like, this application, like, I was like, I got to do something. So I opted to do my internship abroad, and it was kind of like a last resort. Let me try to get something interesting. It ended up being a life-changing experience, but that's what led me to it essentially. And then after that, while I was in Chile, I was actually supposed to apply the first year I was in Chile. My whole plan was, oh, I'm going to stay here and learn Spanish, and then I can apply mostly online, and I'll go back for interviews. However, I had a GRE scheduled, because you can take it anywhere in the world, and I skipped it. I didn't even show up. And again, that was me just having to show, like, always putting that barrier in front of myself. So then when it came down to like push that send, I can be like, oh, but I don't have my GRE. Oh. And obviously I didn't tell anybody else that that's what I did, but I just was kind of like, oh, it's not going to work out this year. And I don't know why. And I think really what it was self-sabotage to protect myself from being rejected. So that's where it was at. But I just want to share that part, because like I was, and I'll tell you what I was doing. I got an ice cream sandwich, and I sat outside of the testing facility, and I just ate it. And I just sat there, like, so disappointed in myself, but so like, what can you do but just feel that? And I don't know. I just wanted to share that with everyone, because if anyone else has a moment like that where you just feel low, like you can do it. It's in your control. It's all like a mindset. It's all changing those habits, really taking control over things. And I think the more you view these challenges, it's like, okay, well, what can I control? And just accepting, like, okay, life happens, but I have this tool. This happened, this clinic shut me out, but I can call this one. Like this GRE was canceled, but I can take it at this date. And just trying to think in that positive mindset, and turning things around, and like accept when things suck. Like, because I did cry. I had moments when I was like really low. I would send Joseph's messages saying, I haven't touched PTCast in 2 weeks. I can't even, like, I don't even want to ask them if they want me. I don't even want to ask questions, like what I should do to improve. So I just wanted to throw that out there to just say that, yes, I was very proud of myself when I finally applied and went through my interview, but it was a long process. It was 3 years of just.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know how many of y'all can relate. I'm assuming it's a lot of you with that. Yeah. Let me just jump to the next question, because you and I can go back and forth on this, because I honestly just believe that your story is so powerful on so many different levels. But maybe we'll save that till the end, because I know we'll kind of wrap it up with your words of wisdom after everything you've gone through. But you ended up joining the accepted system. You ended up being a part of our coaching program, hence why we talked a lot, right? Answer these two questions for me, and then we'll jump to the day you got accepted into PT school, because I think people want to hear the end of the story, right?
Yeah.
So these two questions are: one, what led you to say, hey, I need to like take a leap on getting guidance, like real guidance from someone or a group of people that can actually help me, hence the accepted system. And then the second part to that is, how did the accepted system help you navigate through the thick of all of that chaos up until you got accepted? And then we'll talk about your acceptance day after that. Cool?
Yeah.
All right, talk to me.
All right. So the first question was why did I choose the accepted system? Okay. So originally, well, I kind of just stumbled upon it on Instagram, I believe. And I just was kind of listening to some of the like promo videos, and just, I liked what I was hearing is like what it came down to. And I think I would hope, or I don't hope, but I would think a lot of pre-PTs can relate to this, that a lot of guidance that you get is like, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and your score is this, and no. It's always telling you like what you can't do, or it's not like, they're not helping you like, how can I get to where I can? They're just telling you what you don't have. And so I kind of was tired of that, and I kind of felt like I didn't have, and this is beyond just academic advisors. I even shadowed a couple PTs that were just like, oh, well, when I applied, I had this, and I'm just like, oh, well, okay. Like I just felt like I was getting a lot of feedback on what I'm not, and not enough on what I am and what I can do to change it. So what I liked about Joseph and Kate, like your videos were so like inspirational, and they were so motivating to say like, okay, you got this GPA, here's how we can fix it. We got this, okay. And I also love that a lot of your videos, they're not just saying like, it's not empty promises. They're not just like, oh, okay, we're all just gonna hold hands and everyone's gonna walk in. They're very much like, you want it, I'm gonna help you get it. Like, you got to get up and do the work. And I think that's a very honest, real, that's something I could fall in line with. So I ended up signing up for the Habits of the Accepted first. And that really, like, that was a slap in the face. Because I remember, I don't know if you still offer that, but if you do.
We still have it. We still have it.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, like definitely. If you're not really sure about the whole accepted system, but you just want to like dip your toe in, that was like every single lesson. I just had to sit there and like, he just called me out. And so it's really a time, but it's a very safe place that you can be honest and, really reflect on yourself, and no one's going to be like talking down to you or telling you what you should have done. Like, everyone's like, oh yeah, me too. So I started there, and then obviously I had a lot of help through just what I learned from there. And then as I moved forward, I kind of thought I would like more guidance, more resources. And so that's essentially why I went into I think you had a COVID special, something. I was like, okay, let me try this. And then I definitely ended up going all in, and it's been very, very beneficial. Like everything. I also enjoy the fact that I can talk to you about life as well. Like if I'm struggling with something in my personal life, I can just say, hey, this is what's going on. And I don't think a lot of mentorship you can get, I don't think that's something, I feel very like well-rounded, supported. And I also, a little point just from my personal story, with the accepted system, at first I felt a little bit of pressure because there's so many resources on there. And I was just like, oh, and we got this live event, we got this podcast, and we got this. But eventually I just kind of sat back and I was like, you know what? I'm going to attend what I can and what speaks to me. And I think I even brought up to you one time, I said, I know I'm not the perfect accepted system student. And you were like, that doesn't exist. But I would just say, if you go in there and you think that you have to follow everything step by step, it's all valuable information. But if there's something you feel confident in that you maybe don't need the whole video, or you maybe just need to listen to a podcast, just pick and choose. And that's what it's there for you to draw from, to use, to rewatch what you need, and maybe never watch what you don't. I just want to throw that out there.
I love it. For those of y'all that feel stuck, I think a lot of us like want help. Many of us just want to know, like, what do I do with my situation, right? Like, even if we're not getting coached, we just want to know, okay, like, I'm stuck, like I'm going through this, I'm going through my low GPA, my GRE, this, that, and the other. And many of us just don't know where to begin. And so believe it or not, we actually have a training, and you've probably seen us talk about it. We have a free training this coming Sunday If you want to save your seat, I think we already have like 760 people saved their seat for it. So it's the accepted 2021 PT School Acceptance Masterclass. And literally, like in that training, it has to be like the best free training we have because it's just so straight to the point. With a lot of the key elements that really, really hold students back, and just talking real, because I think a lot of us want to kind of figure out like, what's the loophole, or maybe I'll never get in, but we're going to just lay it to you guys like it is. And so if you're looking for that level of clarity, like save your seat, go to leveluptheprept.com. It's on April 11th. So that's this coming Sunday. It's at like an hour and a half long. So save your seat, invite your friends, and we'll see you there if you're looking for that level of clarity. But now that you guys are going to do that after this, let's actually talk about your acceptance, right? You actually getting into PT school now, Jasmine, because you've told us a lot of, you know, from the multiple years you tried to get into PT school, from you know, not even showing up to one of your GRE test dates, to being overseas for a chunk of the pandemic, and trying to figure out how to navigate through that, and a particular school even trying to get a hold of you to do an interview with you, but you had an international SIM card, and so on and so forth. You basically shared with us so many different things, even the middle of last year with the tree, you know, like a lot of things that would have broken a lot of people. And so what I want you to tell us about is the day you got accepted into PT school, because in the midst of all that, I want you to just capture for us like what that moment meant for you after going through everything you experienced.
Man, I'm like smiling thinking about it because
it
was fun. It was actually a blessing that I ended up being the last weekend, because they released their like offers that Monday. So I only had to wait like a day, which is cool. But I mean, I remember all day, I was just sitting there checking my phone, refreshing, and I couldn't focus on anything. But I think I told you, I was like, I have a test tomorrow, so I'll focus on that. And then I got an email, and in like the title, it said like, welcome to like the program. And so like before I even opened it, I was like, I was so relieved. And then I finally opened it, and like I remember I was so happy. I like called my my husband at that time, and he was like screaming on the phone, and I'm like over on WhatsApp telling everybody. So it was just a really, really like full circle moment. And I mean, at that point, I feel like it felt, I don't know, because I'd already set myself up, and we were already talking about what I was going to do next year. How was I going to apply better next year? So it was definitely like unexpected. It was exciting, but it also felt very like, yeah, this is it. like I should have done it. It was a great feeling.
Wow, man. For those of y'all listening, you know, I hope you can kind of like just spend a brief moment even tonight, just imagine like what would it mean to you, like, you know, if you feel like right now you're in the thick of it, y'all, like if you feel like whether it's the GRE you're dealing with, whether it's just doubts, whether it's what you've been told by other people, and you're kind of in the thick of it, and you're like, man, like I like just spend a brief moment just imagining what that day would feel like, what it would feel like to get that email, what it would feel like to get that letter, because like that's what you're doing all of this for. And I think it's kind of cool when you get to hear how already accepted students responded or felt on the days they got accepted, because it's a beautiful day, y'all. Like, and it's more beautiful because of everything you've had to go through to actually get there. So I love it. And for you, Jasmine, the last question I have tonight is, what are your words of advice? So for the students that are listening right now, for the students that will listen to this as a recording, what are your words of advice after everything you've experienced? Like, what would you tell yourself if you were to go back 1 year, like 1 year ago? So April 6th of 2020, and you were able to talk to yourself, or even before that, maybe the first time you were trying to apply to PT school, or the second time, what would you tell yourself? Because there's somebody here listening that is at that point, like they're at that point where they feel stuck, overwhelmed. Maybe they got their ice cream and went and sit outside of the testing center because they don't want to sit for the GRE, like whatever it is, like what would you tell them after everything so that they can keep pushing and fighting toward this beautiful dream of theirs?
I have kind of 2 words of wisdom I'm going to put out. The first thing I'm going to say and really stress is just baby steps. Don't feel like you have to take over the GRE, your retakes, your this. Maybe your baby step for that day is just calling to see if your prereq has open seats next semester. Maybe it's just looking up on one school. I really just set little things for myself every day to where it was just like, okay, I'm gonna look at this school. And after I did that, I felt good. And maybe sometimes when I was on their website, I found like a question and answer session. It just kind of stems. And I think the more you do, you got this big monster of PTCast and this big monster of all the things that everyone's told you how to do. So if you can just chip away a little bit and pat yourself on the back. If you've been putting off looking up schools for a month and you look up one school one day, I mean, I don't think it's over, but make sure you just like in that moment are like, I did it. It wasn't that bad. It's over. I don't have to look up this school again. Now I can move on. So I'm just going to really stress like baby steps and congratulate yourself for those little baby steps. And the last thing I'm going to say, for anyone applying or thinking about applying, a kind of mantra or something that I kept putting in my head every time I kind of felt down or if I felt like there was another obstacle, my thing was like, make them say no. So I needed them to look at, because my thing is, they already have to look at all these, they already have to look at all these. And so I feel like if they have to look at your application and have to think on why what are they gonna reject, like what's their reason gonna be? They're not gonna think, like they're not gonna go out of their way. They want you there. And so anything that I felt like they could say, what about this? That was the next thing I attacked, like with my GPA, they kept saying stuff about that. So I was like, well, okay. When I thought I got rejected, I was like, okay, next time. Next time you're gonna see. So just like confidence and just thinking like, I'm gonna put so much effort into this that they have to work harder than I did to reject me. Like, so that's those are my
I'm trying to find as many markers to just drop, because it's just like that might have been one of the most amazing pieces of wisdom for y'all. Like I hope y'all took that one in. Make them say no. And I loved what you said about baby steps as well. But make them say no. Make them say no. I think it just changed, like all of a sudden you're not in a position of well, you really switch to being in a position of power, right? Yeah. You are empowered because you're like, no, like I dare you to say no. Like I did like oh, the GRE? Okay, say no more. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I dare you to say that's too low. Like I did, like that's such a different way of thinking of it. And I think a lot of times we feel the opposite. We feel like we're on the other side. We feel like we have to kind of claw our way in. It's like survive. And I think we get distracted because we're so focused on everybody else and where they're at. And, oh, they have higher GPAs than me. They have higher GRE scores than me. And we play this comparison game that actually drains us, right? Whereas the focus should be on the schools and saying, hey, like, make them say no. That might have been one of the most amazing pieces of wisdom we've gotten on this interview series. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I hope for those of y'all that are watching this live and for those of y'all that are watching this on replay that you've enjoyed this tonight. If you've enjoyed this, let us know in the comments below and share this with a friend if this has been of value. But Jasmine, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening. Thank you for pushing through. Thank you for pushing through your experience so that we can be inspired and so that you can realize your dream of becoming a physical therapist and look at all the people in your corner that we're excited to celebrate with you, right? Like close family, right? It's different. It's different when you have people that have been rooting for you the whole time and you just push yourself and you prove to yourself that, it's not impossible. You prove to yourself that you do have it. Now you carry that over into the next stage, into the next challenges, into PT school and say, hey, if I could do this as a pre-PT, then I'm pretty sure I could do it again as a physical therapy student, as a PT, and so on and so forth. So, I'm super, super proud of you, extremely impressed by your journey, and I'm inspired by your resilience. And I look forward to seeing other students inspired by you. So, is there anything else that you want to kind of leave us off with before we wrap it up tonight?
No, I just want to say thank you to you and thank you to anyone watching. And I mean, if this is your step, if being here today is your step to your PT, like you did a good job. You're here. You did it. You did it. So pat yourself on the back tonight. You made one step and tomorrow there's something new. So
I love it. This was your baby step. I love it. And your next baby step is save your seat for the masterclass on Sunday. Yeah. All right, we'll see you guys there. And y'all have an amazing rest of your evening. We will see you guys next week on Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, because we do these every single week. So until then, much love. See you guys. Bye.